The Star Wars Legacy comics are one of the most legendary pieces of Star Wars storytelling from the expanded universe. There were a total of 50 comics, and in this video, I'm going to give you the guide and breakdown of everything you need to know before diving into this Legends comic run. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have decided that I really want to dive deep into the Star Wars expanded universe and cover Legends comics and stories here on my channel. While doing some digging into the Legacy era, I came across a comic that is listed as issue 0.5. It's titled Your Guide to the Legacy Era of Star Wars. I have decided that here on this channel I will be making a Legends video of some sort every single Thursday, and this will be the first of many videos surrounding Star Wars Legacy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the guide. Welcome to the future. After the deaths of Palpatine and Vader, Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order once again became the agent of peace in the galaxy. The Remnant of the Empire made peace with the New Republic, but peace was shattered by the invasion of the extra-galactic Yuuzhan Vong. The Republic fell, but it was replaced by a galactic alliance, which allied itself with the Imperial Remnant and others to defeat the alien invaders. Peace was restored, and the Imperial Remnant once more proclaimed itself the Empire, but with a more benign emperor on the throne. Meanwhile, a new Sith Order was secretly forming on the planet Korriban, infusing themselves with the dark knowledge found in the ancient Sith temples there, honing a plan to retake the galaxy. All that remained in their way were the Jedi, especially the one named Skywalker. As this era begins, Luke Skywalker has unified the Jedi Order into a cohesive group of powerful Jedi Knights. It is a time of relative peace, yet darkness approaches on the horizon. Skywalker's descendants face new and resurgent threats to the galaxy and to the balance of the Force. The events mentioned in this story take place approximately 137 years after the Battle of Yavin, 25 years after Luke Skywalker and the Rebel Alliance freed the galaxy from the tyranny of Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader. A new threat emerged: alien invaders called the Yuuzhan Vong. Yuuzhan Vong conquered many worlds, including the galactic capital Coruscant, and transformed those planets to accommodate their own native flora. Hundreds of systems were devastated before the Yuuzhan Vong were finally defeated by the combined forces of the New Republic and the remnants of Palpatine's empire. In subsequent years, the Imperial Remnant grew into a larger, more benevolent empire, and the New Republic was transformed into the Galactic Alliance, still allied with the resurgent Jedi Order. But unknown to all, a new Sith Order was secretly rising on the planet Korriban. When the Jedi proposed using now-friendly Yuuzhan Vong scientists, known as Shapers, to return some of the devastated worlds to their previous fertile states, the Sith saw their opportunity, sabotaging the Vong's transformation processes. The Sith used the disastrous results to incite war between the Empire and the Galactic Alliance. Emperor Roan Fel tried to end the war, but his own moffs were secretly allied with the Sith and thwarted his efforts. Following the disastrous Battle of Kamas, the Galactic Alliance was defeated. Many Jedi were subsequently killed in the Massacre of Azus, and the rest scattered as fugitives throughout the galaxy. Within days of the defeat, the Sith also moved against Emperor Fel. He, however, escaped into exile, and the Moff Council's supposed victory was turned into defeat as the Sith's leader, Darth Krayt, proclaimed himself emperor. The seat of government for the Old Republic, the Empire, and the New Republic, Yuuzhan Vong also made it their throne world, moving its orbit closer to the sun and crushing one of its moons to make the Rainbow Bridge. Coruscant, now under the control of the Sith Empire. The city planet remains infested with Yuuzhan Vong vegetation, which still uneasily coexists with the planet's Durasteel canyons, though outwardly, the Empire is a little changed. With the Sith in power, the galaxy has become a decidedly less friendly place. The law is inviolate, justice is swift, and retribution is cruel. It is not unusual to see a Sith Lord on the bridge of one of the Empire's capital ships, or in command of one of its own armies. In addition to their overt presence, the Sith now have many spies. Now nearly all aspects of benevolence that were the hallmarks of the Fel Empire have been ground out of the Imperial bureaucracy. Ancient and deadly, Darth Krayt spent nearly a century secretly building a new Sith Order on Korriban. The rule of two is gone, banished by the new Sith leader. Now there is only one, the Sith Order itself. Known only to a few is the fact that Krayt was once known as Asharad Het, a Jedi who had survived the Clone Wars and had become embittered about the fate of the galaxy. Het discovered and learned from an ancient Sith holocron on the planet Korriban, was captured, tortured, and transformed by the Yuuzhan Vong, and finally emerged as Darth Krayt. A combination of stasis chambers and Sith meditation has allowed him to artificially extend his life, but even Krayt cannot live forever. Krayt seeks someone who can heal him of the Yuuzhan Vong infection, which is slowly overtaking his body. But thus far, his efforts to rid himself of the Vong parasites have failed. Darth Krayt's legion of Sith now outnumber the Jedi. Among his most trusted lieutenants, Darth Weirdlock, the third Sith master to hold his name. Weirdlock is Krayt's second in command, a master of ritual lore of the Sith and of all the ways of the dark side. Darth Talon, as one of Krayt's hands, she exists solely to execute her master's will. Talon's tattoos were earned in ritual combat and inscribed by Krayt himself. The other of Darth Krayt's hands, this Nagai warrior, was a warlord on his home planet before joining the Sith. Darth Nihil is the top enforcer of Krayt's will out in the galaxy at large, and within the Sith Order itself. Darth Maladai is the head of the Sith's intelligence organization. Maladai is also an expert in methods of assassination and torture. The Fury-class fighter was developed by Sith armorers for the rapid development of Sith assassins in the Emperor's hand. The Sith Fury-class fighter was used to great effect in the last days of the war against the Galactic Alliance and the Jedi. Darth Strife, perhaps one of the most brutal of Darth Krayt's followers, his raw power personified, waiting to be unleashed. He is currently Krayt's fist, the head of the military, a position that Nihil once occupied before becoming a hand. The Imperial High Moff Council. In the Sith Empire, the rule of the Emperor is once again absolute. The Imperial High Moffs, the leaders of the various military branches of the Empire, once had a strong voice in Imperial affairs. Now the High Moffs on the Council, as well as many of the lesser Moffs, find themselves subservient to the Sith. Despite appearances, the Council is not a single-minded entity. Some Moffs are hardliners, as xenophobic as their predecessors in Palpatine's day. Some are opportunistic. All have their own agenda. Moff Morlish Veed, foremost of the Moffs. Morlish Veed was once the Grand Admiral over all of the Empire's fleets. His tactical skills are eclipsed by only his political acumen and his barely concealed ambition toward the Imperial throne, which was thwarted when Krayt assumed power. Moff Geist is the head of the Imperial army. His favorite tactics are threats and intimidation. Moff Falor, a Chiss, who serves as the head of the diplomatic corps. Moff Rulf Yage, called the Hero of Asus. Yage is in command of the Imperial Navy. Morgan Corday, Moff Nina Calixte's top agent from the days before the Sith took power, and the only one that Calixte can still trust. While Corday can be counted on to complete the most dangerous missions, she has her own secrets and her own agenda. She was once secretly married to Cade Skywalker, then head of the Jedi Order, and the mother to his son. Though estranged from her child, she will do almost anything to protect him. The Imperial mission began as part of the first Emperor Fel's Victory Without War initiative, a way to spread Imperial influence by offering help and support to planets after the Yuuzhan Vong War. The mission had stations on planets throughout the galaxy. The missionaries dedicate themselves to the highest principles of service, believing that this is what truly embodies the Empire. Moff Nina Calixte, in charge of Imperial intelligence. Calixte is Morlish Veed's partner in every sense. When the Sith first approached the Empire, it was through Calixte. Some claim that Calixte has not gained her position as Moff by sheer merit, and view her with disdain, but in doing so, they seriously underestimate Calixte, a deadly mistake. Moff Conrad Russ currently heads the Imperial mission. Outwardly, Russ is a quiet man of peace, but he had to be politically adept in the face of hardliners among the Moffs, who prefer to wage war and expand the Empire. Following the takeover of the Empire by the Sith, he has been forced to find new ways to justify the mission's existence. Orphaned as children, twins Astral and Shadow Vao were found and helped by the mission. Shadow was recruited for Jedi training, but Astral believes her destiny lies with the mission. The backbone of the Imperial army, Stormtroopers still serve as everything from advanced scouts to shock troopers. The bulk of them are raw recruits, taken and shaped into service. For some, the armor represents several generations of the same family that have worn it in service to the Empire. Some legions, such as the 501st, have been in service since the Clone Wars, and from their ranks are drawn elite units, the first to hit the ground and the last to leave. A Stormtrooper's helmet still inspires fear in much of the galaxy. For many, they are literally the face of war. Helmet sensory devices and communications gear have been improved. Armor strength has been upgraded to absorb and diffuse a blast. All-terrain boots have rugged construction. The ARC 9965 blaster. In the new Empire, non-humans can also serve and have helmets and armor adapted to fit their alien physiques. Fighters are only as good as their pilots who fly them. The Empire has some of the best. Captain Gunnar Yage is one of the Empire's top pilots. Her father, Moff Wolf Yage, a crusty hardliner, who was proclaimed the hero of Asus, wanted a boy and raised her like one. Gunn has come up through the ranks, receiving no special treatment along the way, and not asking for any. Everything she has earned, including her father's grudging respect. Gaining her mother's approval, however, is unlikely, as her mother is Moff Nina Calixte. Gunner's squadron, especially her wingmates, are as tough and loyal as their captain, and would fly into a black hole for her. She is the leader of Skull Squadron, the Pelion-class Star Destroyer. Like its predecessors, this Star Destroyer is the mainstay of the Imperial fleets, armed with massive turbo lasers and planetary bombardment systems. Pelion-class Star Destroyers also carry wings of fighter squadrons, stormtroopers for rapid deployment throughout the galaxy, and companies of assault vehicles. Built at the renowned Kuat drive yards, this generation of Star Destroyer's sleeker profile offers better protection and greater shielding of its command section. At only about a quarter of the size of the Star Destroyer, the Empire's frigates are often the star point of any action. Designed for rapid response, the frigates sacrifice shielding and armor for speed and unexpectedly heavy weaponry. Many Imperial officers have made names for themselves at the helms of these doughty vessels. Product of the Sinar shipyards, the Predator-class fighter offers several improvements over the old TIE fighter. It boasts hyperdrive capability, with limited preset destinations, shield generators built into the dagger-shaped wings, and much to the relief of its pilots, a life support system. Its multi-position wings make the Predator one of the most maneuverable fighters in the galaxy, the workhorse of both the military and diplomatic arms of the Empire. The new class shuttle comes in two standard variants, the armed and armored military shuttle, and the unarmed, more passenger-friendly diplomatic version. Though it was much weakened when Darth Krayt usurped the throne, the true Empire is still viable enough to be an ever-present thorn in the side of the Sith Empire. 19 years after the Battle of Yavin, the remaining Imperials withdrew to the planet Bastion, in the Outer Rim, near unknown space. Bastion soon became the most heavily fortified and most fiercely guarded world in the galaxy, and fortifications and planetary defense systems have been continually improved and updated more than 100 years since, to the point where launching a successful assault on Bastion would leave the attacker so deliberated that none will even consider it. Roan is the third emperor of the Fel dynasty to sit upon the Imperial throne. He is a fully trained Imperial knight, known for his political acumen and strategic thinking. Roan tried to keep the Empire on the course his grandfather set for it. He could not, however, foresee the coming of the Sith, nor the impact they would have on his throne and his family. Even in exile, Fel has remained a persistent campaign against the Sith. Known to those closest to her simply as Sia, Princess Marasiah Fel is the Emperor's only child. Before their exile, there were many moffs who openly questioned allowing Roan Fel to name a woman as his successor, but Marasiah's qualifications for this position have been proven under fire. She has recently completed her training as an Imperial Knight and has been formally knighted. Most of the Galactic Alliance surrendered to the Empire at the collusion of the Sith Imperial War, and its planetary systems came under Emperor Darth Krayt's rule. However, the Alliance's core fleet, the fleet charged with protecting Coruscant and the core worlds, escaped the Imperial ambush at Kamas. In the years since, the core fleet, now known as the Alliance Remnant, staged many successful hit-and-run attacks against the Empire, becoming the itch that their foe cannot scratch. Though their numbers are small, the Imperial Knights are fully trained Force users, with all the skills and abilities of a Jedi. However, unlike their Jedi counterparts, whose allegiance is to the Jedi Order, or the Force, Imperial Knights have sworn themselves to service of the Empire, as personified in Emperor Roan Fel, as a symbol of their unity, and how each individual is less than the Empire they serve. The Imperial Knights all use lightsabers of the same design. The Jedi of the Imperial Knights as gray, though the Imperials do not seek to draw the dark side of the Force, neither do they strictly follow the light side. While there is often friction between the Imperial Knights and the Jedi, the Sith are a common enemy to both groups. The second in command of the Imperial Knights, after Emperor Fel, and equally formidable with a lightsaber, or behind the controls of a fighter, Antares Draco would give his life for the Emperor, and is also in love with Princess Marasiah. Siegel Dare, cold as ice, dutiful and rigid in her thinking and approach. She never liked the Sith, but has no use for the Jedi either. Ganner Krieg, calm and serious. Ganner is Antares' most trusted friend. Though he does not always agree with Antares, he is ready to stand beside him. Admiral Gar Stazai, wily and determined, has led his fleet in a campaign of harassment against the Sith Empire, actually becoming more of a threat instead of less of one as time has passed. Hated, but respected by his enemies, Stazai knows that only by escalating the threat it possesses can his fleet hope to survive. Though distrustful of the Empire in exile, Roan Fel, Stazai at one point contemplated an alliance between their two forces, until those talks were sabotaged by the Imperial spy, Morgan Corday. though only about the third of the size of an Imperial Star Destroyer. The Scythe-class battlecruiser is faster and more maneuverable than its Imperial counterpart, plus its leading edges, both horizontal and vertical, are packed with torpedo tubes and turbo laser batteries. Few Imperial captains have lived to describe what it's like to be at the center of the cross of fire, as the intersecting arcs of the Scythe's weaponry is known. Whereas the Imperial Predator relies on speed and maneuverability, the Crossfire is designed to cross long distances to reach its target, pack a devastating punch when it arrives, take all the punishment the enemy can dish out, and still return home in one piece. In flight mode, both of the front wing section are horizontal. In fighter/attack mode, the rear wing section rotates to the vertical. The Sabertooth class, assault/rescue vessel, with its grapple-equipped teeth able to swivel and adjust to almost any angle, the Sabertooth is signed to latch onto larger ships. The Sabertooth is designed to latch onto larger ships. When attached to an enemy vessel, the Sabertooth's crew can disgorge squads of assault troops directly into the opposing ship. When latched onto a friendly ship, the Sabertooth can move a damaged ship out of harm's way or rescue its crew. While it usually serves the same function as the Imperial ship of the same class, the Galactic Alliance's frigate can also adapt to other roles. The front blades, which normally house traditional turbo lasers and torpedo tubes, can be switched out for long-range sensor pods, communication jammers, or barrage missile launchers. Now let's talk about the Jedi of the era. The Jedi, always a force for peace, had tried to broker a reconciliation between the defeated Yuuzhan Vong and the rest of the galaxy, but the Sith fomented the war between the Galactic Alliance and the Empire. After the main focus of the Galactic Alliance surrendered and the Academy at Ossus was attacked, the Jedi scattered, leaderless and with few allies. They are hunted by the Sith Empire and its agents. The Jedi Academy on Ossus, rebuilt from the ruins of an ancient structure on Ossus by Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Academy produced several generations of new Jedi before its destruction by the Sith. Prior to the Sith Imperial War, the rebuilt Jedi Temple on Coruscant was considered among the most beautiful buildings on the city planet, constructed by hundreds of thousands of transparent steel panels. It was a symbol of hope for a troubled galaxy. Now it has been replaced by the dark edifice of the Sith Temple. Cole Skywalker is a descendant of Anakin and Luke Skywalker. Honor-bound and driven, Cole was one of the leaders of the Jedi Council. Disliking politics, he preferred to spend more time at the training facility on Ossus than at the more formal temple on Coruscant. A master tactician, Cole made sure the Jedi understood that defending the peace was preferable to winning a war. In the end, sabotaged by the Sith and abandoned by their defeated Galactic Alliance, the Jedi were unable to do either. He was briefly married to Morgan Corday, who left him shortly after she gave birth to their son Cade. Shadow Val, Cole Skywalker's former Padawan. He was honed in his martial arts skill and is yet to find his equal with a lightsaber. The Twi'lek and Cade Skywalker were boyhood friends. Cole Skywalker's former apprentice and Cade's master, Wolf Sazin, contemplative and serious. Wolf follows the living force and had hoped to teach his Padawan to do the same. Wolf was present at the fall of Ossus and Colt Skywalker's death. He lost his right arm in the battle and nearly lost his life. He has since retrained himself to wield his lightsaber with his left hand, keeping an empty sleeve rather than to replace his right arm and hand. While many Jedi have lost hope, Wolf believes the return of a Skywalker to the Order's head could unite the Jedi and enable them to defeat the Sith. Wolf's vision of hope for the galaxy means finding his former apprentice and convincing him to assume his legacy. Hosk Traitless, captured by a group of bounty hunters led by Cade Skywalker. Traitless was turned over to the Sith, where his expected fate would be torture and eventual death. But Hosk Traitless never gave up hope in the young Skywalker. The Galactic Underworld flourishes at this time. Some well-known criminal organizations, like the Black Sun, still exist, but many more unaffiliated pirate bands and smuggling cadres operate independently of one another, supplying black market goods and contraband to the galaxy. The Yuuzhan Vong, still hated by many in the galaxy for their species' destruction of so many worlds. The surviving Yuuzhan Vong honor the Jedi, especially the Skywalkers, for allowing them a chance to atone for their actions. Likewise, they hate the Sith for sabotaging their attempt to repair the damage they had done. The X-83 Twin-Tail fighter, the latest permutation of the famous X-Wing fighter. The Twin-Tail is favored by the Jedi for its unparalleled maneuverability in deep space, as well as in an atmosphere. These fighters have hyperspace capability, and the astromech is hardwired in the X-83 itself, giving each ship its own personality. The X-Wing battle configuration allows the 4 laser cannons to fire together or in one sequence. Queen Jewel, all of the dives in the dark lower levels of Coruscant. None is more notorious than the Rix. The Cantina's owner is a sly information broker who who calls herself Queen Jewel. Jewel's bejeweled eye patch is a cybernetic enhancement, which instantly allows her to access her voluminous files wherever she is. Queen Jewel lives in a swamp beneath her cantina. No fights are allowed inside the cantina, but any other activity can be enjoyed for a price. Finn, the bartender at Rick's, is also its chief enforcer. Finn can take your head off with a drink, a blaster, or possibly with his fist. Unimpressed by anything, he has heard it all. A chief mechanic at the Solonian shipyards, Bantha Rock has a lucrative side business creating and modifying weapons for bounty hunters and others in need of a reliable armament. Bounty hunters, extinguishing in a gray area between the rigid laws of the Sith Empire and the utter lawlessness of the Galactic Underworld, are the bounty hunters. For a price, they enforce the will of the Sith, tracking down fugitives, especially Jedi, for whom the Sith harbor a special hatred, with little regard for the safety or property of bystanders, whether those bystanders be innocent or simply not yet convicted. Rav runs a bounty clearinghouse on Socorro. Rav provides services and supplies for bounty hunters ranging from engine parts to spice, which keeps many in debt to him despite the high bounties that they are given for their prey. The Wookiee Chak is the captain of the smuggling ship the Grinning Liar, and old enough to recall the Clone Wars and the enslavement of his people. He is a fierce and loyal friend, and a dangerous enemy. He is a young Devaronian with more attitude than her slim frame can back up. As Chak's co-pilot and mechanic, she has a natural aptitude for all things mechanical. Among the shadow cast of bounty hunters in the crew of the minox, a converted fast transport vessel, now outfitted with numerous improvements, such as extra armor and shields. The high-powered weaponry, named for a parasitic vermin, common throughout the galaxy. The ship's name reflects the nature of its crew who live off the bounty of the Empire. The co-pilot of the minox, Jedi Sin, is pragmatic and cynical. If a bounty on a fugitive pays the same, dead or alive, Sin figures dead is easier. He is a weapons expert with an affinity for outlawed items such as Yuuzhan Vong, thud bugs, razor bugs, and the like. Sin also harbors a long and abiding loathing of Jedi, which has caused trouble between him and his captain, now that he knows the captain's true history. Delia Blue, able to fix almost anything mechanical, using a hydro spanner and a few choice of words. Delia Blue keeps the minox running despite a dearth of funds and spare parts. Once a dedicated party girl, the Zeltron would now like to stay as close to her captain as she is to his ship. Something in him seems broken to her, and you can't fix what you can't reach. Cade Skywalker, after seeing his father killed by the Sith and witnessing the sacking of the Jedi Academy on Asus, Cade Skywalker turned his back on the Jedi teachings and the Jedi Order. Believed dead by most of the surviving Jedi, Cade dropped the surname Skywalker and joined a private crew led by Rav. It was during his time with the pirates that he met and bonded with Jedi Sin, eventually earning enough to strike out on their own. Cade purchased the minox, and he and Sin became bounty hunters. It was pursuing a lucrative bounty on the Princess Marasiah that Cade rediscovered the ruthlessness of the Jedi and became reacquainted with his former Jedi teacher, Wolf Sazin, and his friend Shadow Val. Inspired by their actions and repulsed by the Sith, Cade took up his lightsaber again for the first time in decades. Now, elements within the galaxy at large are as aware that Cade is a Skywalker, by all accounts, the last Skywalker, and he finds himself on an uncertain path that may take him to redemption or his doom. A battered old astromech, R2-D2, has been a companion to a number of different Skywalkers through the years, hidden in a secret sub-basement of the Academy on Asus and serviced by the Yuuzhan Vong in honor of Cade's father. The plucky droid was made a gift to Cade after he returned, at least partially, to the Jedi's fold, and is now a fixture on board the minox. Luke Skywalker, the legendary hero of the Rebellion and the reprogenitor of the Jedi Order. The ghostly visage of Luke Skywalker sometimes appears to Cade, giving the young Skywalker advice, which is usually unwanted and often ignored, since Luke's appearances often coincide with Cade's regrettable consumption of hallucinogenic death sticks. There is some question as to whether the visitations are truly those of the actual Force ghost of Luke Skywalker or figments of Cade's own mind. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to pop up some of the pictures of some of the different ships that they are showing. I mean, this stuff is so cool. I'm actually really excited about this series because it's really interesting that they actually gave us a comic that is pretty much a world builder of this entire series. This was one of the most interesting videos that I've made probably on my channel because there was a lot to learn here. And what's really exciting is now we have a 50-week journey to finish this series. I'm going to be trying to release one every week, probably Thursday, because Thursdays are Legends Day here on the channel. I know this was a long one, so I thank you guys so much if you did get through it. If you did make it all the way to the end of the video, I ask that you comment the Nerd Bros, which will let me know who finished the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have so many more amazing videos coming out on the channel here daily, so leave a like as it does help the channel and video grow. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome Star Wars content, and until next time, my friends, may the Force be with you.